So it's now looking quite clear that Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is in fact a thing, which for many of us is brilliant and also incredibly damaging, because, you know, if that comes out, our lives are ruined in terms of any actual life and going outside. And, you know, if it is coming out in April, like the leak suggests, I mean, that's right before exams. We're all screwed. But anyway, it seems like Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is actually a thing, in case you didn't see. There was a leak, or it was put up on the Italian version of Amazon. And there was multiple interesting things. It had a release date of April 30th. That could just be a placeholder. But it had a cheap price. It was €19.99. I don't know what that works into off the top of my head in Britain, in terms of British pounds or American dollars or whatever. But that's fairly cheap. I know that for a fact, especially compared to the fact Modern Warfare Remastered, when it came out as a standalone, was about £40. And obviously originally we had to buy it as part of a legacy, or what was it? Like a legacy edition or whatever. For like 70 odd quid with Infinite Warfare, so that's fuck off cheap. But it seems to be it is a thing now. I did do a video a couple of weeks ago talking about like Call of Duty in 2019, what's it going to be in terms of the actual Call of Duty, as well as any possible remaster that will come with it. I must say that I expected no remastered game until 2019, so the fact we're even getting, or potentially getting one in 2018 is shocking to me. But I did discuss it down in that video, and that will be left in the description in case you want to check it out. But it seems quite nailed on now that this is potentially going to happen, and it going to happen this year or in a couple of months, which is quite unbelievable, really. The thing I wanted to talk about is how it will be, and what will happen with the dreaded S word in the sort of Call of Duty community, and that is supply drops, for one thing. And just general, because there's a lot of things that were broken about that game, what made it kind of fun as well as infuriating. So I will talk about that sort of stuff as well. But people have already touched upon that, things like that, like one-man army being almost obsessively used back in the day, and it was incredibly infuriating. Things like that. And off the top of my head I can't think of anything else, but what I wanted to talk about was supply drops, because it's kind of at a point where it's inevitable that they're going to want to add in supply drops. Whether they do or not is not confirmed by anything, but I'm 90% sure they will. But it's how they do it, and will it ruin it? Will it kill it? Because Modern Warfare Remastered, I didn't realise how split people were on it. At the time, I thought most people were fine with it eventually. Because if we cast our minds back, when Modern Warfare Remastered was announced and confirmed, there was a lot of speculation and a lot of sort of skepticism about, oh, okay, will there be supply drops? Will there be guns? Will there be cosmetics that we just don't want? And will it ruin it because it won't be Modern Warfare anymore? And I was very much in that camp as the game was coming out. I think most people were. And yeah, eventually at the release of the game, there was nothing. It was just the base Call of Duty game, base Call of 4 game. There was no supply drops. There was no additional guns or anything. But as the month it went from 1 to 2 months, there was starting to be leaks. The leaks of the files of the game coming from PC, which showed other guns, other like melee options, and little while later they confirmed that they were going to be adding supply drops and COD points. And at the time, like many people, when they announced this, I was really annoyed by it. I was really kind of angered by it, because I really loved the remaster. I still do, in fact, which we'll get back into in a bit. And they go ahead and they add supply drops to a game that seems perfectly fine without them. And again, like everyone was worried about originally, it didn't feel like it was going to be COD 4 anymore. So I was quite annoyed. A lot of people were annoyed that they were adding these things. They were adding guns that weren't originally in it, and yeah, it was quite infuriating at the time. But now I think about it, when I was thinking about this the other day, in terms of when I got into the game, of course, at first, when they were first there, I was quite annoyed by them, but it didn't last long. It did not last as long as I thought it was, and from this sort of anger and infuriation, it got to the point where after a couple of weeks, I really didn't care. It got to the point where I really didn't care. For me, for the most part, the supply drop weapons were well balanced. There was one which I will use. You might be seeing in the gameplay. It's either that on MP5, but it was the XM-LAR, which was basically like a laser assault rifle, essentially. But other than that, there wasn't really anything added to it that, for me, ruined it, or made it a little bit unbalanced. And now I think about it, the supply drops actually kept me infused into the game quite a lot. Not necessarily the supply drops, actually, that's false. But the guns, the additional guns, because as much as people were annoyed by the supply drops, there were people also annoyed by the fact they were adding these guns. And I remember through the summer event they did like the beach bog and things like that, didn't they? They added guns, of course. I remember they added what essentially was the intervention, and for weeks that was for a while that was my aim in the game, to get enough parts or whatever they're called to unlock each individual like calling card or camo that you get as part of the gun, and trying to get enough what are they called, the currency, they're like crypto keys or whatever they're called in Modern Warfare, I can't remember, that gets you supply drops without paying money, obviously. And I was just grinding to get them for quite a while, simply to get the intervention and then to move on onto something else. And now I think about it, it actually kept me quite engaged in the game. And like I say, I can't actually remember anything in them being that bad, and that got me thinking, because Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, if it now is sort of looking like it's going to be a thing, and obviously it was still a leak, it could be fake, however I doubt it, but it got me thinking, they're going to want to add supply drops into Modern Warfare 2 Remastered, and actually would it be that bad? Because again, like I say, it didn't really ruin the game in COD 4, and as much as that's probably an unpopular opinion, this is an unpopular opinion, I'm not sure I'd be too bothered if they added supply drops in, like from the maybe not from the off. I think it would be nice to have the base game for at least a month or two, similar to what they did with COD 4. Just give us the base game, not all this crypto key bollocks and COD points and supply drops and all that. But if they were to add them in 2 months, would it bother me as much as it did originally on COD 4, on Modern Warfare Remastered? Probably not. And I know a lot of people are going to be bummed about it when it does happen. I'm going to say when it happens, because like I say, I'm pretty sure it will. But as long as the guns are kept relatively realistic to the time period. Obviously, this game was set in 2016, and there are a lot more. There are probably a load more guns they could use from this sort of era. As long as they are from this era, maybe they're from COD 4 or Modern Warfare 3, and they weren't in Modern Warfare 2. Similar, they added sort of a UMP version. They added like a intervention, like I said, just renamed them to COD 4. Do things like that for Modern Warfare 2, it wouldn't bother me. So as long as it kept relatively realistic and they're well balanced. My chair squeaking there, as always. As long as they're kept relatively well balanced, then I'm not that bothered, and that won't be the case for many people. They won't want it, but for me, the main issues and the main sort of areas I really don't know what I want from it are the areas such as, do they touch the broken bits? Now obviously Modern Warfare 2 had a lot of issues. Modern Warfare 2 was the first game I played first Call of Duty game I properly got into. I personally owned, and it's the first one I really started playing a lot of. And I remember it being incredibly broken, and it kind of did add to the entertainment, which is the thing. What do they do? As much as also it was infuriating. I mean, I don't know if people can really remember how infuriating one-man army and noob tubes were, but they truly were incessant, and they got to a point where a lot of people were using them. And one thing I also want to touch on is playing style of people in COD 4 will certainly transfer over to Modern Warfare 2. They're going to be dickish, they're going to be camping, they're going to be quite reserved in their play style, I suppose is the friendly way of saying it. Basically wankers. But that's going to transfer over, and anything they can use, like the M16 was untouched in Modern Warfare Remastered, and that was always considered OP, and yet again on the Remastered you see so many people using it. I've won again, unpopular opinion, I thought the gun was shit, and I think it's just I couldn't use it wasn't my cup of tea. The gameplay you're now seeing is with the laser assault rifle, as I call it, because it's fucking brilliant. And yeah, that was incredibly overpowered in the original COD and COD 4 and the remaster. They didn't change it. I think though that's all right, I suppose, because that was iconic with Modern Warfare. I can't spit my words out. Just to say, I did get my first 5 kills there with grenades. It's brilliant, isn't it? Frag times 3 was another one. Frag times 3 was another thing they decided not to change. But anyway, yeah, it was. What was I on about? Alright, yeah. One-man army is definitely something they've got to. I think they've got to at least tweak a little bit from the off, because it was game breaking. The fact you can just constantly, and with either the grenade launchers become less powerful, or they just tweak it so you can't use classes with grenade launchers more than once, or you can't use one-man army with grenade launcher classes at all. They just got to do something to make that not possible, or just nerf grenade launchers, because grenade launchers were incredibly OP. These are the issues that mainly affect me, because I don't know what I want. Using one-man army yourselves, especially back in the day when I was at the age where I was like, I would happily just mess around with people for reactions, like many people did back in 2010, 2011, and using it yourself, it could, for that purpose, it could be quite funny, especially if you are a dick. It was quite amusing, but many occasions you're the one getting twatted by it, and it was, like I say, incessant. I think rage quits on Modern Warfare 2 was certainly a lot more common than they are in any other Call of Duty game. Other thing, I mean, do they touch things like Commando Pro as well? Commando Pro is another thing that was, I thought, for me, the Commando Pro should not be touched, but some people didn't like it. I personally think it's sort of iconic. Commando Pro was an iconic perk to use. If in case you don't know, it's the one where essentially your knifing lunge can go stupidly far too far, and it's pretty much the perk everyone would use essentially. But there were many things in Modern Warfare 2 that were broken and quite fucked up when you think about it, really, for a game. And do they touch that? If they touch too much of it, is it ruined? Because I never, like I say, Modern Warfare Remastered did split people. People thought it was ruined. Some people did think it was ruined by supply drops and new guns and things like that. And that's not, and they didn't necessarily change much about Modern Warfare Remastered. I know they changed a few like glitch spots and things like that, but in terms of what was OP, Martyrdom still in there, Juggernaut still in there, Frag 3 still in there, the M16 still in there. In terms of what was OP back in the original game, they kept that completely the same. Modern Warfare 2, I don't think it's that simple. So they're never gonna please everybody. Supply drops being in the game will instantly ruin it for some people, but for the rest of us, it really does really depend upon what they do with one-man army and things like that. Because, like I say, it could be, if they change it too much, it could be completely ruined from what Modern Warfare 2 was. And Modern Warfare 2 was utterly bollocks. Bonkers was the word I was looking for. It was utterly bonkers, and that's what made it so good, as well as so infuriating. And it's not going to be as good if it isn't as infuriating, I don't think. I generally think we have to have some infuriation still, basically, which will make us insane to still love it. But yeah, it's really interesting what they do with it. I hope they do, for the most part, the game is kept as similar as possible. We obviously have campaign. I'm actually, something that not many people I don't think have touched upon, but Spec Ops was really good. I found it really quite fun. It was these little mini games, and I'm looking forward to them. Maybe they could add more of them. I don't know if that's controversial or not, or minority, but maybe they should. Maybe that could be an idea for them, to add more Spec Ops missions, because how many were there? There weren't massive amounts, were there? There weren't. I think generally that could work. They could add some for Modern Warfare 3. I know Modern Warfare 3 had Spec Ops. They could just add new ones, and maybe that would be a nice addition. Maybe that's something they can do to sort of silence the people complaining too much. However, again, you will get people who are essentially purists going, "Nope, that's a bad idea." But that's just a shout, isn't it? That's just a shout. In terms of guns, I can't decipher anymore what guns weren't in COD 4 were and weren't in COD 4, Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3. But they could add some guns from COD 4 now. I think about it. Is the MP5 in Modern Warfare 2? I don't know. I'd have to look back into this, but there are guns they can add. And again, that won't bother me. I understand if it bothers you. But yeah, anyway, that pretty much wraps up every point I think I wanted to make. Overall, the idea of I said in my original video, the idea of Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is something that just I so want. Like I say, that game means a lot to me in terms of, one, it was the first Call of Duty I ever owned myself. I played COD 4 and World at War. But I'd never owned it, not at that time. So Modern Warfare 2 was very much my first Call of Duty that I played, and it's the first one I fell in love with. It's the first one I got addicted to, and it would mean a lot for me to have that remastered, and it would mean a lot for a lot of people. So I really do hope it happens. If it does happen as early as April, I'll take that all the way. I'm generally shocked if it would come out in April, but they've shocked us many a time, I suppose. They shocked us by having COD 4 included in Infinite Warfare. So yeah, I'd look forward to it, and like I say, I don't think supply drops will bother me too much. It depends on how they do them, obviously, but if they do them exactly the same as COD 4, again, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think COD 4 was the best supply drop system we've had. It's the best out of a shit situation, because supply drops ultimately are shite, but for me, there's no point in even hoping that they're ever going to be taken out. They make far too much money. It wouldn't make a good business decision for Activision to take them out. But yeah, like I say, that's not the things that bother me. I'm curious to see what they would change and if they have changed anything. Because for me, there's one thing that should be changed, and that's one-man army. The rest of it, I would be alright with it staying the same. But everyone has their preferences, and this is the thing. It's very difficult for them to get everyone happy. They're not going to do it. What would you guys want from a Modern Warfare 2 Remastered? Are the supply drops a killer for you? Are you of the opinion that, okay, maybe they're not that bad, or maybe you actually even like them being in there? I haven't seen many of you, but I'm more just on. I accept they're not going to be taken out more than I like them. And what would you hope from it? Would you hope for everything to be the same, or are there some things that were detrimental to it that you think would be better, make the game better if they were taken out, even if it does sacrifice some of that feel that Modern Warfare 2, the original, had? It's a very interesting discussion, really. It's very, like I say, not everyone's going to agree on what should be the same, what shouldn't be the same, what should be involved, what shouldn't be involved, and so yeah, everyone's going to have their own view on things. Are there any guns that you remember being too overpowered or too much? Is it just grenade launchers? Is there any perks that were bad? Death streaks is one that I think I haven't touched upon, but death streaks were in COD 4. I can't see them taking them out of Modern Warfare 2. Remasters, that is. So yeah, I'll be interested to know what other people think. Do you even want a remaster? Some people might not. For me, the fact it's not coming out with another game is kind of nice. Supposedly, anyway. That's always useful for both games. It gives them a few months to play each of them. And yeah, if you enjoyed, I had to itch my foot there. Shit. Sorry. If you enjoyed, I think this gameplay's just coming to the end now. This was a weird game, this specific one. A lot of grenade kills. Like I say, Fragstone's free. This is a very dickish class. I don't know if anyone noticed. I'm pretty sure Martyrdom's on there. I think Juggernaut might be on there, and I think Fragstone 3 is on there with an OP gun. And it didn't actually work out as well as I remember it. The first half went really well, but the second half it dipped a little bit. But yeah, that wraps up this video. Like I say, if you enjoyed, subscribe for more random video game shit. Follow me on Twitter. Twitter will be towards the top of the description somewhere. And thanks for watching, and goodbye.